All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we just get right into it? I appreciate you for joining me. This is Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian, the political podcast made to sift through the bullshit, the lies, and the propaganda of the mainstream media, Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and break it down for normal, everyday, working class individuals like you and like me. Once again, I appreciate you for taking the time out of your day. It is September 2nd, 2025. And yes, you have made it to Tuesday. We are awaiting some stupid announcements, I'm sure, from Donald Trump, in which Donald Trump's team is just, I guess, trying to just show everybody he's alive after what's been going on with the fake pictures, the old pictures, the bruising on the hand, the health announcements. But before we get into that, I just want to say hi real quick to the chat. Very honored to be joined today by Chris Kluwe, who is running for an assembly seat here in California's 76th district. Before we get to that, let me say hi to the mods. Thank you so much, mods. I appreciate you guys for keeping that chat a safe place in there. Thank you, Leron. Thank you, Patrick, for kicking it off in a major way with the 5 gifted. Happy birthday to Dame Dog. I just want to get that out of the way as well. Everybody, I hope you're wishing him a happy birthday. But without further ado, without wasting any more time, let me bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Again, I apologize for the mix-up the other day. Chris Kluwe, how are you, my friend? How's everything?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you for joining the podcast. Like I said, I know you got a ton going on, a lot to deal with, a lot of it very serious going on. So I appreciate you for taking the time out. I was looking at it here. You were born Christmas Eve. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep. Christmas Eve in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But my parents moved to Southern California when I was about 6 months old. So I am a Southern California kid.
Pretty cool. And then you went to, what was it, Los Alamitos High School, followed by UCLA, followed by a stint in the NFL, which you played for several different teams. I think it was the Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings, and the Oakland Raiders from 2005 to about 2013. Do I have that about right?
Yeah. So the majority of my career was with the Minnesota Vikings from 2005 to 2012. And then, set most of the punting records for the team while I was there. I think I still have most of them. So I was okay at my job.
Keep it on the plane, right? You got to keep it on the plane. I remember that from my punting days in high school. Not that I'm trying to compare myself in any way. I'll step back now. But
you dropped the most important thing.
Yeah. You have been outspoken, let's say, in your career. You weren't shy in holding back your thoughts on, equality, things like gay marriage, things like that. So you've also had pushback from the organization, from the NFL. Can you tell us just, a little bit about the time in the NFL, being outspoken as an NFL player, especially about the things that you were so outspoken, and maybe about a little of the pushback that you received and what you had to fight through?
Yeah, for sure. So in 2012, there was going to be an amendment in Minnesota, a constitutional amendment for the state constitution that would have banned same-sex marriage, very similar to Prop 8 that happened here in California a couple of years earlier. And this would have been, I think, the 32nd state they were trying to pass this amendment in. So basically, it's this far-right religious group. They were like, we just, we don't like gay people, so we want to make sure that they can't get married. And I was approached by a group who was fighting against that, Minnesotans for Marriage Equality. And they contacted me on Twitter back when Twitter used to not be a shithole. And they're like, hey, would you be interested in helping us fight against this? And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I think I really would be interested in helping you fight against this because I don't think we should be enshrining discrimination into state constitutions. Right. And then the other thing was that I've always felt if I'm in trouble, I want someone to speak up for me, right? And so if I'm the person in position to speak up for someone else, I got to do it. Otherwise, no one's going to speak up for me. So started doing some radio appearances. It was pretty low key. And then I wrote a letter that went viral on Deadspin. It was titled, "They won't magically turn you into."
Once you put the pen to paper, it's over,
Oh yeah. No, I was dropping some bars in that one. Called out this Maryland politician who's trying to silence another NFL player that's speaking out on this, Brendan Ianbadejo. He was playing for the Ravens at the time. And he'd been doing the work for a long time. He's another UCLA grad. And so this politician was like, I don't want you talking about this, stick to sports, right? And so I was like, okay, first off, you're an elected official. You can't write it on official state stationery. That's a First Amendment violation. That's not okay. Second off, why do you care? How does gay people getting married affect your life in the slightest? The only
so it's pretty much the politician telling you to shut up and dribble.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so that went super viral. Then I got started getting a bunch of national attention. My special teams coach really didn't like that. He had some homophobic statements that he made during some meetings.
They're typically a different breed, though, the special teams coaches. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's well, the thing is like a lot of special teams coaches, they're just there for a rung on the ladder, right? Like they're trying to work their way up the coaching ladder to eventually get to, coordinator or head coach or something like that. There's very few lifers. But yeah, it was just unfortunate because like we'd had a decent relationship up to that point. And then, he just basically flipped a switch. It was like, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you're speaking about. And, he was making things very uncomfortable, like in the locker room. And so I finished out the year. My stats were exactly the same as they were the previous 7 years. Said stats being the ones that set the Vikings punting records. And then the team decided to draft a punter in the 5th round. And I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm not going to be here
pretty clear
longer.
Sign, Yeah.
Yeah. You don't draft a punter or a kicker in the 5th round unless you're planning on him being the guy. So I ended up suing the Vikings for wrongful termination. They had to settle for a high 6-figure amount. All the money went to LGBTQ charities in the Minnesota area.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, also in 2012, you were featured on a documentary called The Last Barrier, and, you spoke about equality in that. So again, this is something that you've been clearly passionate about and not afraid to speak about for a long, long time now. But I think what people probably, especially recently, most know you for is the Huntington Beach council there, where you spoke up against, I believe it was a plaque for a library. Can you kind of just give us a little bit about the backstory? And then if you don't mind, when you're done, I'll play the short version clip for everybody in the audience just to kind of give them a refresher. So just a little bit about that whole story.
Yeah. So our Huntington Beach City Council, they've gone full MAGA. There's all 7 of them are like outspoken MAGA proponents, and the Republican Party has outright stated they view Huntington Beach as kind of their prototype, right? Their testing area for all the crappy stuff that they want to do in California. And so this one of our council members, Gracie Vandermark, she had been attacking our public library for the last like 2.5, I think 3 years at that point. First, she tried to ban a bunch of books in the children's section. They were all LGBTQ books. Community got really upset about that. So then she tried to set up a book banning board, which community got really upset about that. Then they tried to privatize the library. Community got really upset about that. So we passed two ballot initiatives to actually stop them from doing that. One was to get rid of the book banning board. One was to make it so if they try to privatize the library, it has to go to a citywide vote. Like they can't just do it unilaterally. And then the thing that really kind of drew my ire, so because I've been speaking at city council meetings up to this point, basically saying, what are you doing? Leave the public library alone. Like it's supposed to be a nonpartisan place. So the 50th anniversary was coming up for our public library, and they wanted to put a plaque on it. And now the plaque had on it an acrostic that said magical, alluring, galvanizing, adventurous. So, it was the biggest font on the plaque, and it's, spelling out MAGA going down. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Like, this is a public library. Stop messing with it. And then the speech that I made was, okay, like if you put MAGA on our public library, this is what MAGA stands for. And so, I had a whole minute speech on equating it to what the Nazis did. And I cited all my sources. I had links for, every story that I mentioned. Because I'm a history and poli-sci major. So I'm like, okay, I got to use my education for something. But yeah, and and
it was very well done. I mean, and it raised, I think it did the trick, right? It got the headlines, it raised awareness, it made the rounds on social media, got the discussion going. So anything that, furthers the discussion or, brings this type of thing into the spotlight and continues to, be looked at with a fine tooth comb, I think the better. And, I give you all the props and respect in the world for having the courage to, get up there in a place, like you said, is very heavily MAGA influenced. It's not somewhere where, you're just going to get up there speaking and you're not going to hear anything about it, on social media or, when you're walking around town. I'm sure you probably get the odd comments or yells from across the street. I'm sure you have to deal with it. These people, they're known for being very outspoken in that, right? So we give you a lot of credit, not only myself, but here in the chat. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on. So I just kind of wanted to play this little clip that you were just talking about, if I may, just to kind of give everybody a refresher, those who again, may not have seen it.
Those who haven't seen it on TikTok.
Yeah, right. The the 15 to 20 million times it's probably
Right.
been viewed by this point, right? And
Yep.
that's probably on the low end. So just for everybody's, reminder and just for refresher's sake, here is Chris at that city council protest, and then we'll talk about a little of the backlash that you got from that. You were a head coach at the time, or a coach of a football coach at a high school at that time, and we'll speak a little bit more about, like I said, the backlash that you received. But it's a little bit over a minute. Here's just a clip from what we're talking about here.
Hi, my name's Chris Kluwe, 15-year HB resident. I'm here to speak out against both the plaque and the current city council. As the community made clear at the Library Commission meeting last Tuesday, everyone is in favor of a plaque to celebrate the library, but the vast majority are against including a MAGA acrostic. Okay. Unfortunately, it's clear that this council does not listen. So instead, I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. You may have replaced a swastika with a red hat, but that is what it is. I will now engage in the time-honored American tradition of peaceful civil disobedience.
Yeah. Which you did, and then you were, I don't know, would you say forcibly removed from the premises? At that point there,
they had to carry me out.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, but the thing is, everything you said was factual. Everything you said was true. Everything you said was blatantly obvious, right? Nonetheless, but you still managed to get pushback. And the one thing I was surprised at when I first heard this clip, I don't know if you had a bunch of supporters of yours that knew you were going to do this, that were in the crowd, but I was surprised to hear the crowd's reaction when you did bring up, the Nazi comparison. Because as we say, it's a heavily conservative Republican MAGA district, and to hear the cheers when you finally went that extra step, which we should all be doing in bringing up the justified comparisons between the two political parties and the rhetoric and the tactics that they use. I was a little bit surprised to hear the cheers. So was that pretty much the community, or again, did you have kind of some supporters there with you to hold you up?
Yeah, no, so that was the community. So in our city
awesome.
council meetings, like there's a lot of people there who really care about the public library and who care about democracy. And then we have the flip side, which is we have the MAGA supporters who show up with their hats. We have a local Proud Boy who always shows up at these meetings. He's very proud about being a Proud Boy. And so like when I called it out, everyone was just like, you finally said, what we've all been saying, and you did it in a way that they really can't refute. And so I think that's why people really got, cheering and excited about it, because like I laid it out very clearly. Like, I'm not going to call you a Nazi if you're not doing Nazi stuff, but you're doing Nazi stuff.
Right. And even if you're not, it's very telling when the Nazis are backing you, when the white supremacists and the Christian nationalists are on your side of the fight. I think it's time for some introspection. It's time for you to look in the mirror and say, why are these people behind me? Even if I don't see myself as a Nazi, I don't see myself as a white supremacist. There's a reason why they're not getting behind, progressive candidates. There's a reason why the KKK isn't backing, Democrats at this point in time. It should be very obvious to everybody. But again, you still receive some pushback. You were at the time a coach at, what was it, Edison High School?
Yeah, Edison.
If I have that correct.
Football coach. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about not only, what happened to you as a result of this speech that you gave, but maybe some other, other areas that you found some, it ran into some repercussions from this, or some hardship from this because of this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I got fired from my job at Edison. They brought me in and told me, their exact words were, the school is getting too much attention. We have to let you go. And so in my head, I'm thinking, that sounds like a First Amendment violation, but I'm going to let you go on. So yeah, I'd been coaching there.
You thought that right away? That would.
Oh yeah, right away.
Yeah,
and that was actually something where, like, my experience with the Vikings, 10, 12 years prior, I was just like, oh, this feels really similar. I'm going to make sure I take, notes right away. So that way, when
very smart.
I end up suing the school, right? Like that, like it's very contemporaneous notes. And so I actually am suing the school right now. The ACLU has signed on to the lawsuit, because they're like, yeah, this is pretty clear First Amendment violation. And it just sucks because it mirrors what we're seeing across the country in higher education, right? Where we have these administrations that they're not willing to stand up to Trump, and they're willing to sacrifice their faculty, they're willing to sacrifice their students because they think that if they appease him, then he'll stop going after them. But the thing is, with totalitarians, with dictators, appeasement never works. Like that's been clear throughout history. The instant you start appeasing them, they think they can just keep coming back and keep coming after you again and again. And so I was disappointed that Edison did it, but unfortunately in the current political climate, it's not surprising in that they wouldn't have the courage to stand up against it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I know we haven't spoken before, but my background is, amateurly, I should say, if that's fucking even a word, but is World War II history and, studying fascism and authoritarianism. And we've made several different shows about appeasing dictators and how we know from history that doesn't work, and only if anything only prolongs or stalls the inevitable and makes the situation that we actually do go through that much worse when we end up going through it, because it's you're going to have to face it head on at some point. You cannot appease a dictator, you cannot appease Vladimir Putin. You can't, he's not going to stop if Donald Trump gives him the occupied territories they now control in Ukraine. He's not going to stop there. He's not going to agree to the security guarantees that will ensure the safety of Ukraine going forward. None of that. And the First Amendment battle that you're in is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we've seen recently a veteran be arrested in Washington D.C. for exercising his First Amendment right and burning the flag and exercising his free speech. He was arrested and hauled off. We've seen, obviously, being in California. I just recently moved here from Boston to Orange County. So, I've been kind of thrown into the fire as far as what ICE is doing here in California, which is a huge issue. So it's crazy to see that even a high school, though. I mean, I know corporations and businesses come down on either side of this fight a lot of the time where they think they're going to make the most money, but it's strange to see a high school, especially when you're standing up for such obvious and dangerous things that we're seeing in today's political system, that they would take retribution against you. But I guess if that's going to elevate the status of this and give you something to kind of show everybody, listen, this is the fight that I'm actively engaged in, then we'll use that for all the good that we possibly can. So what led you really in your life to being so outspoken throughout your NFL career, again now running for the assembly seat in California 72nd? Were you always outspoken as a kid? Did you always care about these social issues growing up as a kid, or is this something that you just kind of felt passionately about at the time and needed to do something about it?
Yeah, so for me, I wouldn't say I was like really publicly outspoken as a kid. I'm a huge nerd, so I read a lot of like sci-fi and fantasy. And I was
World of Warcraft, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. That's my Blue Sky handle. But yeah, it was always like, I want to be the hero, right? Like you want to be the hero in the story, and if you want to be the hero, you got to do the right thing, like even when it's tough to do, especially when it's tough to do. And so I always felt, other people should be treated fairly because that's how I wanted to be treated. And then as I got to college, into UCLA, I became more exposed to other people and viewpoints and stuff. And I realized, okay, I probably need to be a bit more active in terms of this, because this thing is, especially where I live, I grew up in Seal Beach, which is part of District 72. I know a lot of the people in this area, they just don't want to have to care about politics, right? They just want a government that works and leaves them alone. And I was like that as a kid. Like I didn't feel like I needed to speak up because I'm like, oh, things are working. Like, why should I need to say anything? Obviously, that comes from being a white, straight man. Like, there's a lot of privilege
with 75-degree weather every single day. It's beautiful out. What do I got to care about, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it really was like, as I started becoming more well known in the NFL, mainly through my Twitter account, social media, and I realized, oh, I do have a platform. Like, I can speak up on these things. And as I said earlier, that requires me to speak up on these things because I want someone else to speak up for me when I'm in trouble. And so, yeah, it was very much just a continuation of what I learned as a kid, where it's like, do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, you are protecting yourself. Like if you protect other people, then that means when someone comes for you, you've got a lot of friends that'll have your back. And, if you throw away another group, well, don't be surprised then when they come for you, there's no one left to speak up for you. I mean, there's a reason Niemoller wrote that poem. Like, and he was, he really regretted the fact that he helped out the Nazis. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, shoot, like I didn't speak up for anyone else. Now they're coming for me. Now there's no one left to speak up for me.
Right. And that was, I think, Martin Niemöller, right? First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me, which is pretty much spot on. It's amazing to see how, and we've been talking lately again with my studies of World War II and, the plight of the Jewish community and the atrocities that they went through. As well as many other nationalities and different populations. But, to see what's going on in Gaza now being perpetrated by Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government, and trying to kind of fit that in your mind and what happened really not all that long ago in historical.
We're only a couple generations removed. Like there's still living people that remember what happened.
Well, that's the problem, I think. We're coming into this time where there's not many left that can give you that firsthand, I saw it with my own eyes. This is what the fuck happened. This is what the fuck you will have to go through if you turn a blind eye. And now it's becoming just kind of the pictures in the textbook, or, the YouTube videos that are on the documentaries, or World War II in color, or World War II from space, or, that type of shit. It's becoming so, we're just now becoming to the point where we got that space in between what happened and our understanding and our ability to go back and see and feel what the hell these people went through, and the reason that so many great Americans gave up and sacrificed their entire lives to go fight for democracy in a land they don't know about, for people speaking a language they cannot speak. It really fucking shows you just how history may not repeat, but it sure as fuck rhymes, and human nature definitely doesn't change. And the same people, the same types of people that were around during World War II and before that are around today. They're just in different form with different names. But if I were to ask you, because you so eloquently gave your thoughts on what MAGA represented in this in your speech here, what do you think is the most dangerous part of MAGA? What is the most dangerous threat MAGA poses today, whether it be MAGA, the movement, or Donald Trump himself?
I think so. For me personally, I think it's that he's giving people permission to be their worst selves. And for a lot of people, they're willing to do the small evils, and then they keep going down that slope into bigger and bigger evils, right? So like when MAGA first started, Trump, like his very first day, he comes down the escalator talking about, like rapists in Mexico, and like, they're not sending our best people. Like he started with racism. And now we're at the point where we built a concentration camp in the Florida Everglades. Like it is a concentration camp. Like that's, and people are taking pictures in front of the signs as if that's something to celebrate. Like, and so, he's created this cult where his followers have been so deluded into thinking that what he is doing is going to help make their lives better. But there's nothing about MAGA that is going to make their lives better. I mean, when you look at everything that Trump has done, it has been to enrich himself and his family at the expense of everyone else. Like that is the underlying motive for all of his actions. And so if you're a MAGA follower and you think, oh, I'll get some of what Trump's getting, no, he doesn't care about you. Like he really does not give a fuck. and
right. For example, you will not get to benefit, the benefit of the use of the so-called $200 million ballroom that they're building at the White House, right? You'll never get to experience or get any benefit of that, although that you're paying for it.
Right. Like, and worst off, it's going to be, he'll sell access to it, right? Like it's just one long grift where how can I get more and more money? I just saw an article today where his meme coin shit has made his family $5 billion richer. I mean, and it's just wealth extraction. He's just taking money from his followers because they think he's going to do something for them, and all he provides is hate. And unfortunately, historically that has been proven to work. If you give people someone to hate, a lot of people will latch onto that and be like, oh yeah, if I can hate this other person, it doesn't make me feel so bad about my life. And
the bullshit and the propaganda work, and I'm so sorry to cut you off, but you're 100% right,
good.
because if you look at the first administration and how, people were focusing on whether or not Trump is going to divest from his companies and if he's going to hand over, control to his sons, if he's really and it was a story, there were still people inside of government that were there to kind of, as piss poor a job I think they did to keep him in line as much as humanly possible, right? Whether
the guardrails were shaky, but they were still kind of there.
Right. They were still, but now look at the second term, and it's like, compare that to making $5 billion off of perfume, watches, crypto, NFTs. I mean, the walls have just completely been shattered by, years of Donald Trump, normalizing and putting this out to his fans as something that is okay for a United States president to be doing. And, we should be rich and powerful, and your president should be able to do whatever the hell he wants, that type of thing. So I apologize. I don't mean to cut you off, but you're so 100% right. And it's crazy to see just how far we've come, even just since Trump's first administration with, the guardrails or lack thereof that were in place that are no longer in place.
Yeah, well, and what it does is it really illustrates kind of two failings, right? The first failing is with our modern media, in that they don't call things what they are. Like they won't actually print the truth, because the truth sounds so outlandish and one-sided, because what Trump is doing is so outlandish and corrupt.
Right.
Like, and so, you get papers like the New York Times or the Washington Post or the LA Times, right? All owned by billionaires. And those billionaires are trying to stay in Trump's good graces. So they make editorial decisions where they're not telling the truth. They're trying to present both sides of an issue. And I'm sorry, there is no both sides to an issue of, well, this dude's obviously corrupt. Okay, there's no other side to that. like just report the facts. And then people will be able to say, oh yeah, these are the facts. And then the second failure was going back to 2021 through 2024. The Biden administration was elected to stop Donald Trump. They were elected because the people said, wait, Trump fomented an insurrection on our Capitol. We are putting you in power to hold that man responsible and to make sure there are consequences. There were no consequences. And now we get to this point where it's like, of course, if you don't provide any consequences for a tyrant, he's just going to continue being a tyrant. And so like that's really where the Democratic
and
Party
then let his gang out of prison, the people that were in prison, he'll let them out. And not to use this as a plug, but speaking of January 6th, we'll be very fortunate, and I'm very honored to get the chance to speak to Capitol Police Officer, part of the Capitol Police Force on January 6th, Michael Fanone, tomorrow on the show. So that's going to be a great conversation. Hope you guys all tune in for that one. But I guess my question is, like, because we've seen Gavin Newsom recently kind of combat Donald Trump kind of with his own medicine, so to speak, kind of, with the caps and speaking on social media about that. And then you've seen Fox kind of have to like out themselves in the process by making fun of it when they know Gavin Newsom is only mocking Donald Trump, where Donald Trump does it seriously. That in line with the, the gerrymandering fight that we've seen. And, I just kind of want to ask you a little bit about that. We know what Texas is trying to do, and now we know what Gavin Newsom as governor of California is and how he's trying to combat that. Are you, I guess it's a two-part question. Do you like the effectiveness, or do you like the way that Gavin Newsom has kind of been poking the bear, so to speak, like on social media? And are you, how do you feel about this whole gerrymandering process from not only the Republicans, but also now the fight back that the Democrats are showing?
Yeah, no, I'll address the gerrymandering one first, because that's
Please.
obviously the most pertinent one. And then
yes,
if you live in California, please vote yes on Prop 50 to make sure that we pass these new redistricting stuff. Because the thing is that, yeah, it sucks that we're gerrymandering, and it sucks that we're essentially kind of tearing up the fairness in our political system. But we're not doing it just to do it. We're doing it as a response to the Republican Party trying to get rid of fair elections. And so what I think the second part that people don't realize is that you can be for Prop 50 and the California redistricting stuff while at the same time saying, but I would really like a national anti-gerrymandering law. So that way we don't have to do stuff like that. Like, keep the Texases from doing their thing, and we'll be fine with fair and impartial elections. Like, that's the whole point of a democracy. But because the Republicans are trying to rig the game, well, they're bringing a knife. We got to bring a gun. That's the only way we're going to win this fight. And then as far as Newsom, I think he's being really effective right now in the fact that he's actually willing to stand up and call out Trump on his bullshit. The thing is, though, is that for longtime California residents, Gavin Newsom is a very political animal, and that he will do whatever he thinks will poll well at the time. And I know I probably won't ever vote for him if he's the presidential candidate. I know there's a ton of trans people that won't vote for him due to his actions against that community. There's a lot of homeless people that are never going to vote for him due to his clearing of homeless encampments. And the way that he's gone about it is he's trying to criminalize California out of homelessness, but you can't criminalize your way out of homelessness. You have to build homes. You have to give people areas where they can live. And so, yeah, I appreciate that Gavin Newsom is fighting on the same side as, truth, justice, and the American way right now, but he's got a lot to make up for. Like, because it's pretty clear that he wants to run for president. Like, he's trying to set up for a presidential run. But right now, I would much rather see someone like J.B. Pritzker get the nomination, because that's a guy who's, even though he's a billionaire, he can't really have any ethical billionaires. Like, he's been walking the walk for a long time.
Right. Well, you're in good company, because we here on Blunt Politics, I think rightfully so and justifiably so, called out Gavin Newsom for not only the change in his policies and his rhetoric, but also the podcast and who he was sitting down with, and just who he was sitting down with.
On there? Fuck off, man.
But it's not even that, though. It's not even that. Two things that I had a problem with. A, you don't bring them onto your fucking podcast to speak to your fucking audience, right? The whole point is to bring your message to their fucking people, right? You don't allow them to come onto your fucking platform to speak to your audience so that they can maybe sway a few people in your audience on one or two of the issues. You don't. And then two, if you are going to speak to these people, and I would have no problem having either one of those fat fucking pricks on, or the large head Charlie Kirk on, if you're going to be combative, if you're going to, if you're going to attack them for the shit that they've either said, done, or believe, the racist, bigoted, homophobic policies they want to put in place, the gerrymandering attempt, whatever it is. But you don't come out and kiss their ass and shake their hand and laugh and kiss and that. So we rightfully, and I think justifiably, called him out as well. And I guess that leads me into my next question. Who are the leaders of the Democrats right now? I think I've asked this to a few people as of late, and I know we still have time, but I, being an athlete and growing up playing sports, it always helped having, either myself, selfishly, being captain and knowing that I could lead the team, or having strong captains that that you could look to for assistance or look to for guidance, or, people that know how to, steer the team in the right direction. And right now, I just feel like we're kind of like that headless horse, where we have so much passion and so much anger and so much, people want to do something. You can tell by the hands-off rallies and the No Kings rallies and, what's going on in DC, and people are out in the streets and they're pissed off and they're in chats listening to podcasts. But it's like, at what point, who are we getting behind? Who's that person that's going to step up and say, okay, I am the leader, get behind me, let's fucking do this? You know what I mean? Who do you think the leaders are right now?
Yeah, so right now I see obviously Pritzker is one of them. I think Governor Walz in Minnesota is another one. Jasmine Crockett, AOC for sure. Is someone that can get people. She's been doing all the rallies with Bernie, to sort of get people aware of, like, hey, here's what's going on. Obviously Bernie Sanders, I'd say he's more of an advisor than a leader at this point, just because he's getting kind of.
I wish they'd define that though a little bit more clearly, because they at one point they had so much fucking momentum. They were going into purple, red areas, and they were packing, not arenas, but stadiums or schools or whatever the hell that they were doing. They were packed. There were people fucking showing up and ready to go, but nobody kind of knew what the hell was going on. Bernie was kind of giving this like, okay, I'm too old. It's definitely not going to be me. But he also wasn't making it like clear if he's passing the range to AOC and if she was going to make a run at something. So it kind of left us in limbo. And I agree with all of your other picks, but I don't hear any of these people saying, get behind me. I plan to do this in this year, or I plan on being the leader that you can get behind. I mean, even to the point where Gavin Newsom hasn't even said that much, really. You can tell obviously by what a politician's doing. But go ahead.
And I think what it does is it shows you two problems within the Democratic Party right now. The first is that the current leadership of the Democratic Party, which is Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, don't know how to meet this moment. Like they have no idea on how to act with what's going on. They still think that bipartisanship is possible, but you can't have bipartisanship when the other side wants to eliminate entire groups of human beings. Like there is no bipartisanship possible in that situation. And then I think the second issue that you're seeing, like no one's willing to stand up and say, I'm this person, here's what we're going to do, is because the things that we need to do are things that the corporate donor class really does not want to have happen, right? Like almost all of our problems are due to the fact that we have the highest wealth inequality gap that has ever been in American history. Like it is worse than the Gilded Age. Like it is worse than any other point. And until we get the money and power out of the hands of the very few people who are accumulating it and back into the hands of everyone else, we're just treating symptoms. We're not treating the disease. And so, for example, if you want, a platform policy, this is something I've been speaking out at the various STEM clubs I've been talking at, is we have a minimum wage. Why don't we have a maximum wage, right? Why don't we tie a maximum wage to the minimum wage? So if a CEO is making 100 times more than their lowest paid employee, we say, okay, if you're making more than that, well, then the state gets the rest of it. So that way we can actually use that money to help the people who don't have any resources because you're taking all of them. But instead, we have like this, was it the Starbucks CEO? I think actually lives in Newport Beach in my district. Pretty sure he's not going to vote for me. But this guy makes like, I think it's like 670 times, the wage of his lowest paid employee. It's like, that's unsustainable. It's not healthy for our society. And the thing is, this isn't just an
and that's been going on for so long. That gap has just been
it just keeps
exploding.
increasing. And the thing is, we're seeing the results of that. Like this isn't just like some political paper. Like, no, this is the real life results. We are in this situation because there are too few people with too much power, and they're able to do whatever they want. And what they want is not a democracy. They want to have control over everyone else. So yeah, that's the kind of messages that we need to be sending. Like we need to say, okay, like California, for example, California is one of the most powerful states in the United States, right? Why doesn't California be like, you know what? We're going to do universal basic income. We are going to do universal healthcare because we have the money to do it. And then if Trump keeps attacking us, which he is doing, then we're going to say, okay, well, we just won't use our federal taxes to send to the federal government. We're going to use them on the programs to help our people. Like
instead of helping keep the red states afloat, let's again, if MAGA, and that ties just in line with what MAGA thinks too. Like, make America great again. You can kind of do like a keep California great if that's what they want to do. If that's what they're trying to do with the United States. They want to take care of other people's problems. They don't want to be sending humanitarian aid into war zones and into areas where people are starving. They want to make sure that it's us. So they should have no problem with California saying, okay, I'm going to stop sending the extra resources that we are sending to states like Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, and let's focus on putting that into our own resources and making the people of California that much better, right? And MAGA should have no problem.
Like this is actually something I brought up to my congressional representative, Dave Min. He actually had a town hall last week, and I flat out asked him. I said, "Would you be in favor of backing a blue state coalition that ignores federal judgments, like what Trump is trying to do?" Because historically, we have done that before. During the lead up to the Civil War, the northern states, they just refused to comply with slave catching laws. They're like, no, you can have these laws. We're just not going to follow them because we don't think it is appropriate for a democracy to have these kind of laws. And right now, we're seeing Trump putting, was it $180 billion into ICE? Like, I don't want my money going to a kidnapping gang. Like that's not what a democracy is about. And so the thing is like, okay, yeah, Trump can say we're going to send ICE in. Gavin Newsom, if you really want to do something, get on the phone with the National Guard and say, no, ICE, you don't get to come in. Or so here's another thing. My representative was like, he was trying to view the facilities, right? He's like, yeah, ICE just wouldn't let me in. And so I'm like, well, why don't you call up the governor and be like, hey, give me a 100-person escort of National Guard so that way you do uphold federal law. Because congressional representatives, their job is oversight. They are supposed to be going into those facilities and seeing if ICE is complying with our laws. And so you're not even breaking any laws. You're actually upholding the law. But it has to take a willingness to take those chances and confront people.
Right. And which is why, it's good going along with what you're saying. It's good to see that we saw here the judge blocking Trump's deployment of National Guard in California. But this is, again, the problem that I have with the judicial system as a whole. It's like the harm has already been done. Like, this is so far after the fact of him even sending in the National Guard. And yes, they've now, ruled it as being illegal. But, the damage is done. The people were rounded up. The harm was done to the community. Maybe this will have some effect going forward, but I'm sure there's another level, another step with some other district or some other court that, the fight is not over on this battle. But at least it's good to see that there are some judges out there that recognize just how illegal and unconstitutional all of these policies are. I mean, we're going to be breaking down how illegal and unconstitutional this regime and their policies are for a long goddamn time. But I guess I'd kind of be remiss before if I didn't ask you that. Go ahead. Yeah,
if I can jump on that one more time.
Sure.
You're saying, where's our message, right? As the Democratic Party, well, a very simple message is we're going to hold these people responsible. We're going to form a Truth and Reconciliation Committee, same as what happened at Nuremberg, same as what happened in South Africa after apartheid. We are going to figure out everyone who was responsible for these atrocities, and then we are going to make sure there are consequences for their behavior. Because if we do that, then we can actually start addressing the root causes of the issue, right? Which is the fact that a lot of Americans feel that they can be racist with no penalty. And that goes all the way back to the sabotaging of Reconstruction. Like, we have never, as a nation, fully grappled with the fact that Reconstruction it didn't fail, it was sabotaged by the Southern Democrats at the time, the forerunners to the current GOP. And so we have to, as a nation, come to terms with that. Otherwise, we're just going to keep seeing the same hate flow again and again and again because we didn't address the root problem.
Which is why it's so important that we elect strong leaders that are willing to, step up and say, okay, instead of changing things incrementally over, so let's come in here and let's make the necessary changes that we know will improve the lives of American citizens, or lower crime, or help education, or help people get out of poverty, or give more people access to health care. Let's start doing that instead of having somebody like you talked about the leaders that we have, like a Schumer, or I always forget his name now. What the hell is the other guy's name? Hakeem Jeffries, where they even get tripped up now going on MSNBC over the simple question of, why don't you endorse Mamdani? You know what I mean? Like, what is your hesitation? What are you waiting for?
The future of your party.
Right. Like, not only that, but even if you didn't like him, just seeing the enthusiasm, the record amount of voting that he drew out in the New York City mayoral primary. Like, wouldn't you want to use that to your benefit regardless? So, but this goes back to the talk that we've been having, I think, on this podcast for a long time. And that's who's controlling these people behind the scenes. Because if you're taking money from AIPAC, and, it's pretty obvious to see why you might not back or want to endorse necessarily Mamdani, or try to at least do it at a strategically beneficial time, or the most strategically beneficial time to you, if it's something that you're going to have to do anyway. But it's fucking frustrating to me to see him continuously, time and time again, be tripped up and stumble on himself on what is supposed to be a friendly fucking network, asking him about a popular candidate who has a ton of enthusiasm and great policies and rhetorically is saying the right things, and he just refuses to fucking get behind the man.
Yep. Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole, you have consultants and pollsters who are running the Democratic Party, and it's like, why would young people vote for Democrats at this point? You're not giving them anything to vote for. Right. And I actually spoke at the California State Democratic Convention back in May, and like the big thing in my speech is, as Democrats, we do things, we don't do them because they're popular, we do them because they're the right thing to do. Like, that means saying stuff like trans rights are human rights. Like, it means saying stuff like the war in Gaza is a genocide. Like you can't look away from that and try to pretend it's not happening because you're going to get some angry emails or phone calls. You have to be able to accept the objective reality that the right thing to do is to call out evil when it's happening, even if it makes some people upset.
No, and I think stirring the pot is exactly what we need at this point too, because I think a lot of people have gotten way too fucking comfortable in their racist, bigoted, homophobic, transphobic beliefs, and the permission slip that Donald Trump has granted everybody on the Republican side now, and you can boil it down to almost one word, and the R word that people feel like they're free to say again, and making fun of people with special needs, people that feel like the N word is now back in session, and these are the people that we're talking about that Donald Trump is enabling and giving power to, and trying to say that their beliefs and how society should be are more beneficial and are better than what these demon devil Democrats are trying to change your kids and this and that horse shit. But
and then the other thing too is like I know I talk a lot of shit on the Democratic Party, but like I want to make it perfectly clear, none of this happens if the Republican Party has a spine and actually does their job in Congress that they swore an oath to the Constitution to do. Like the entire Republican Party, they could shut this down in an instant if they just simply did their job as House representatives and senators. But they are failing to do their job, and they're willfully failing to do their job. And so that also needs to be a part of consequences, is that every single Republican senator and representative of the House that thought paving the way for tyranny was a good idea, we need to make sure they are never involved in politics ever again.
Yeah, I've just never believed in, people watching me people who have been watching me for some time can probably attest to this. I've just never believed in this, like, don't critique your own side and let them get away with certain things because it might make us look bad, or, because again, after, I go, a lot of stuff that I talk about goes back to sports, and hopefully you can relate, but, after a fucking football game,
it's watching film.
You're watching film, you're studying what happened, how you can be better in that situation, the block that you missed, how you can punt it further, if you can aim it, if you should have aimed to the right side of the end zone on that, which way the wind was, like, there's a million fucking things that we always go over with a fine-tooth comb, and people were talking about after the election and what I was saying, and my, going after where I thought the Democrats failed in the election and in the lead up to, and people were getting pissed at me, and it's like, well, listen, if we don't call this shit out and we don't fix these problems, we're going to fucking end up doing the same shit again. And I'm not for that, right? I'm not for fucking going out there and getting my ass kicked over and over again. I don't fucking like it even happening once, never mind happening twice. So I'm going to look at what the fuck we did. I'm going to criticize myself, critique myself, figure out where I could have done a better job, what I should have been talking about, what I should have been calling out. And then, we'll go from there. But I feel like if you really care about something, that gives you the ability, that you would want the willingness to critique it, to call it out, to mold it, to make it the best it could possibly be. Right. So that's why I've never had a problem calling out, Democrats, or again, where, for example, where Gavin Newsom stepped out of line with his rhetoric, or again, where, people like Chuck Schumer with his, we will win. We'll win. Like, you're not fucking, you're not lighting a fire under my ass, Chuck.
Or his constant post was like, someone should do something about this. It's like,
or you fucking sternly worded letters. Like, I'm sure the Trump administration is wiping their fucking assholes with your strongly worded letters that you send into the White House, office, whatever. It's just not happening. But before I go, we got about 10 minutes left. There's been a lot of speculation as of late and about Donald Trump's health. He was kind of absent for a few days. We've seen the bruising on his hand. We've heard about the diagnosis of the what was it? The venous. I'm not a doctor. Some venous failure, something wrong with his veins. So not only that, but we've seen, the White House kind of release some fake pictures that were from, prior in his life there, trying to kind of make it seem like he was out on the golf course. What do you think's going on? And I know we're still kind of, I think at this moment, awaiting whatever announcement he's supposed to be making. It was kind of leaked that it was about Space Command or something. So I know people are kind of hoping it was about his health, or, kind of speculating it to be about his health. But what do you think's going on? Is it just kind of old age that we're seeing? Is there anything to look into here? And I guess two-part question, me being somebody that kind of advocates for it, even when Donald Trump is gone and out of politics, like, this fight still will continue. Like, this is not something that dies with Donald Trump. So A, what do you think's going on health-wise? And B, do you agree that, this fight will continue long into the future, even after Donald Trump?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree the fight's going to continue because, like I said, we need to address the root causes behind it, which is the fact that people in America think racism is okay. And until we meaningfully address that, we'll just keep getting more Donald Trumps. We'll keep getting more J.D. Vances and Jim Jordans and, just all the gross people that view other people as things, not as human beings. Like that's their mindset. They don't view human beings as human beings. They view them as pieces to be moved around or used up or expended. So yeah, we have a lot of work to try to get back to being a democracy. And then as far as Trump's health issues, I think he's an old man who eats shitty food and never exercises. And yeah, he's obviously going to have health issues. And I think it's indicative of what this administration is about, is that they refuse to address that. Because if you trust the American people, right, like you can be like, yeah, I'm going through some health stuff. Like it might affect me in these areas, but I don't think it's going to affect my ability to do my job. And look at the freaking what the media did when Biden had someone coming in to speak about Parkinson's. Like they immediately started speculating, oh, Biden has Parkinson's. Like, oh, what's he trying to hide? It's like,
the double standard is just absolutely asinine. I mean, just for example, let me give you one. This is, and I hope you can hear this well, but this is. Does this sound like a well man to you? Just
when you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
And then, if he's not going off on baseball, it's the camels that he's talking about.
Appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
He appreciates the camels. You haven't seen camels like that in a long time. Or he's just
getting acclimated. You know what that means? Acclimated.
No, I don't know.
My favorite are the grocery ones. When we talk about, not many people know this. They're called groceries.
He made that up. Didn't you know that? I mean, and there are several people walking around in Russia right now with MK-47s as opposed to.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know.
I can't even deal with it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to go off on a tangent there, and I know we're kind of running out of time here.
But we should be that's the thing. We should be calling this out. We should be saying, why is our president such an embarrassment? Like, why are we in the stupidest timeline? Why do people accept this as a reality? Because it doesn't
shouting from the roof of the White House and shit. You see that one?
He's just standing up there kind of looking around.
What the fuck are you doing, dude? But it's the double standard, right? And the media's willingness or their ability to write. I don't know what it is, but for Joe Biden to be called out, and again, like I know optically the whole 9 yards of being old, not being able to speak very well, not having command over, your rhetorical skills, the falling off the bike, falling up the stairs. Like, they're not good looks. And it's definitely something that the media is going to talk about and speculate, of course, if you're the president of any country and that type of shit happens. It's to be expected. But it just... because Donald Trump is, for some reason, like, because he didn't fall down the stairs doesn't mean that, like, the shit that comes out of his mouth and the shit that comes off the fucking his brain isn't 10 times worse and 10 times crazier and worse looking for the country than if Joe Biden fell down 100 times or fell over 10 sandbags or whatever. Like, this is crazy. Like, our name and our legacy on the world stage has been diminished. You can't even tell immeasurably, really, just like it was in the first administration when it was, statistically, we were less respected on the world stage than we were before, right? So it's like not only that, but our allies talking about, like, I just was in Ukraine recently. I was part of a humanitarian aid convoy that took ambulances, trucks, pickup trucks, medical equipment, all the way, everything from down to bug spray from Warsaw. Well, actually, it started in Finland, but I picked it up in Warsaw, Poland, drove it all the way through Poland into Ukraine, through Ukraine into Kyiv, and delivered it to the frontline soldiers there that were waiting. And, it's like to see Donald Trump shaking the hand of Vladimir Putin in Alaska, not forcing him to answer any questions, a single question from the media about the ongoing civilian killings that he's engaged in perpetrating every single night. Not only that, but, him attacking Canada, what he's talking about with, possibly going to war with the cartels in Mexico. Like, he's
Going after
creating
Greenland.
havoc and damage that's going to take a long, long time for us to kind of repair, right? And to right the ship, which was going along with, you know, even when he's dead and gone or out of politics or whatever, you know, this is something that it's gone on for so long that we're going to have to combat now the likes of J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth and the rest of these people that have been so indoctrinated that they're going to try to continue carrying the torch, so to speak, for Donald Trump. So I guess just kind of go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, like we've
Right.
squandered every bit of American goodwill that we built up over the last 80 years. And like when you see things like India and China getting closer together, right? Like Modi and Xi, like that's really not good for America, because that's like we rely a lot on soft power in order to assert both our economic ideas as well as our strategic goals. And when we don't have that soft power anymore, it becomes a lot harder for us to do things like, you know, respond to disasters overseas or make sure we are securing critical resources that we need for domestic industries and things like that. And yeah, it's like again, this is something I'll never forgive the Republican Party for, because I grew up, you know, I was born in 1981, so I grew up hearing all about, you know, oh, the party of Reagan, oh, you know, we're strong, you know, America is the strong country, like we're, you know, the world police. And then watch this guy piss it all away. It's like, where are you? Why aren't you saying anything?
Well, I appreciate your time, man. And again, sorry about the mix-up over the weekend. That's my fault. Again,
no, that's my fault.
From Boston to the West Coast, I can completely understand. I've added shows. I've changed times. I'm trying to do East Coast and West Coast time. So believe me, it's happened to me 100 times before. But I guess kind of on the way out, can you kind of just give me a short summary of, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot, but if you have a short summary for the campaign, or, you know, kind of to summarize what you're running for and about for, again, California's 72nd here. And we can kind of give everybody your social media accounts, where they can follow you, where they can contribute to your campaign, where they can help out and that sort of stuff.
Great. Yeah. So running for District 72, which is Seal Beach all the way down to Laguna Beach, and then kind of goes up into Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, and Aliso Viejo. One of the main reasons I'm running is that what's looking like my potential other person on the Republican side is Gracie Vandermark, who is the one who is behind all the attacks on our public library here in Huntington Beach. She's currently a city council member. She's also known ties with white nationalists, Proud Boys. She's really not someone we should be giving power to in any state, let alone California. And so as far as my actual campaign platforms, three big things I want to focus on. First one is affordable housing. Obviously, we need to build more houses in California. And currently, Assembly Bill 130 and then Senate Bill 131, which have been passed, they look like they're going to go some way towards addressing that. The question is going to be, do they go far enough? Right? Are we actually building more houses now that we've made it slightly easier to do so, or do we need to do more? Because again, we can't criminalize our way out of a homeless population, a homeless situation, right? We can't expect people to gain social mobility if they don't have a place that they can buy, right? Like you actually have to be able to buy a house in order to start getting a bigger house. Second thing I really want to focus on is mitigating the effects of climate change. So all the cities in this district, 4 are coastal cities. The other 3 are right next to the Crystal Cove State Park, which is a giant fire hazard. And we're clearly not dealing very well with solving climate change. Now, that doesn't mean we need to stop. We definitely still need to keep trying to solve climate change. But now we're at the point where we have to start talking about mitigating the effects of climate change, right? Like the seas are going to start rising. Fires are going to get worse. Weather is going to get more severe. There's already parts of California where you can't insure your house, because the insurance adjusters look at the data and, you know, whether or not you believe in climate change, the actuaries really do believe in climate change.
Right.
And they will adjust your insurance rates accordingly. And so, so we need to start thinking about, okay, what does that look like in these communities, right? Like, do we need to make more high density housing in order to have a barrier between those fire areas and where people are living? Coastal communities, how are we going to handle sand replenishment, right? How are we going to keep our beaches? Because that's a huge draw for all those cities. That's a big one. And then last one I really want to focus on is regulating AI. Because right now we are seeing that the AI bubble is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're forcing it into our public schools. They're forcing it into our workforce, and it has extremely negative effects. Like it's very deleterious towards people's mental health, people's job security, our kids, right? There's been multiple people who have been convinced to commit suicide by ChatGPT. Like these are things where I'm not against AI that works and is used appropriately, but if we're going to have that, we have to make sure the stuff that doesn't work doesn't get into people's hands, right? Like if we have a product that's killing children, we need to regulate that product, because we've done that with
especially because of the exponential growth, you know, like you said, it being implemented so many different ways in so many different places so quickly. You know, it'd be very prudent of us to get a grasp on it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and the other problem too is that right now we're in an AI bubble. You have all these companies that have poured so many resources into developing these things, and they're not showing any sustainable profit on it. Like they don't know how they're going to make money on it. So what we're seeing is very similar to back in 2008, 2009, right, with the housing crash. You have banks that were too big to fail, and so the government bailed them out. And I think that's what we're seeing right now with these AI companies. That's why they're pushing so hard to have AI implemented in public policy, in governments, in public schools, universities, because they know eventually that bubble's going to burst and someone's going to be left holding the bag.
To make it to where it's so relied upon that it can't go away.
Right, exactly. So now it's going to be us holding the bag. The taxpayer is going to have to bail them out. And it's like, and I think it's really interesting, right? All the billionaires, it's always, well, it's capitalism for you, but it's socialism for me. It's like, motherfucker, if you want to live in a capitalist society, you get to live in a capitalist society, which means if you fail, that's on you. Like, we're not bailing you out. So yeah.
Meanwhile, they're going after Zohran in the background.
Right.
What he wants to do.
So those are really the three big ones, and then sort of long term, trying to find a way to get rid of Citizens United, because that is just such a corrosive influence on our political system and democracy as a whole. And then, like I said, trying to address the wealth inequality gap, because almost all our problems stem from that gap and from people not having any opportunities to succeed. And I want everyone to have the same opportunities that I had as a kid. Now, you might not succeed, but you should have the chance. And then if you do try something and you fail, we don't abandon you in a gutter. You get to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and then try again, because that's what the ultra wealthy get to do. They get to keep trying as long as they want until they eventually succeed. Middle class, you get to try once. If you don't make it, you're fucked. Poor people, you don't even get a chance to try. And that's not a healthy society. It's not a healthy democracy.
Well, we appreciate the fight. We appreciate your passion for for these important subjects that we now face. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Where can people follow you if they want to follow you on social media? Where can they contribute to your your campaign, and where can they help out and find you on the old interwebs?
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so I'm on Blue Sky, Chris at Chris Warcraft. That's been my handle ever since I started on Twitter. So yeah, you can find me on there. And then the campaign website is kluweoc.com. So KLUWEOC.com. So my last name, then the district.
Yeah, guys, it should be just under his name. If you look under there, it's his. That's the website that you're talking about. Just under.
Hey, you did it. You hit the buttons.
Yeah, I tried. No, actually, I can't take credit for this. This is all my girlfriend Mel. She does all of the signage and the background.
Oh, well, thank you, Mel. I appreciate
I just kind of pop on, turn on a light, and start talking. That's about all I'm good for at this point. But I really appreciate you taking the time. There's a lot more that we could get into. I would love to have you on again sometime if you have. I know, like I said, if you can fit it into the busy schedule, I'd be more than willing to and happy to speak to you again, and we could dive deeper maybe into the AI and also again the further dangers that we face now from the Republican Party and some of their policies that they're currently implementing and want to implement in the future. So, Chris, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Hope you enjoy the rest of it, and thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the time.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Later,
peace.
man. All right, Chris. Thank you so much, dude. What a good guy. What a good guy. And again, I apologize to him for the mix up this weekend and also you guys. But yeah, so again, running for the 72nd assembly seat here in Orange County. He gave you the areas in which that covered. So make sure if you're in the area or are looking to contribute or find him on social media and give him a follow. Or subscribe to his channels, and make sure you seek him out. I would very much appreciate you doing so. And again, thank you so much, Chris, for taking the time out of your day. And again, I was kind of getting updates in the background. Trump just what? He's just talking about that space command bullshit. That's all he's doing. So he's not having some fucking triple bypass. Let's see. Is he still speaking? Hold on. I'm just going to see if I can jump into this. I just want to see what he's talking about real quick. I want to see if he's questioned about his health or the disappearance of him over the last few days. 1 second.
Way for some of these lunatics that we're dealing with, but I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too.
Was he questioned? Has anybody been kind of following this while I was talking to Chris? Was he questioned about his health at all? Does anybody know, any of the mods or anybody? Was he questioned about his health?
And if you took a small percentage of those teachers that were in the military, that were distinguished in the military, that were in the National Guard, et cetera, and you let them carry, that's something that a lot of people like. I sort of liked it.
He definitely doesn't look good. He definitely doesn't look good.
That have to be studied, but they're trained. They know about weapons. You can't do it with every teacher because most teachers don't know, and But I always thought that would be an alternative. But it just
let me see if I can get rid of
we've had a lot of instances. Other countries have also. They have different kinds of problems than we have, but we do have. There's something going on. Something going on, and what happens? We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000 between the two countries. 7,000.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian.
Oh, you get it all make up.
They're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yeah.
Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say,
yeah, he definitely doesn't look good. It looks like Mel sent me a picture here where it looks like they got that makeup on his hand again. I was also watching a video on the old YouTubes the other night where they were trying to make the point or, show the connection as to when typically this bruise was showing up on Trump's hand. And I think they were saying that it's usually typically at the end of the month, which would suggest some sort of like normal, like not normal, but some procedure that they do at the end of every single month, whether it be an injection or some sort of testing or something like that. Right. So whether or not they're giving him some sort of injections for some sort of illness that he has or some sort of disease or whatever the hell it is. Let me see. Yeah, I think Mel just sent it to me in the background. Let me see here. Let me see. Yeah, I'll throw this on you can't really, let me throw this up there for you guys here. I'll zoom in a little bit. I know it's kind of tough. You're not going to be able to see it, but you can definitely tell the discoloration in his right hand as compared to his left. If I zoom in too much, it takes it off the screen. But see how this hand is way, way lighter, or I don't know, pinker. And this one's brown. You can see how brown it is on the top there. So he's definitely got that covered up again. Definitely got that one covered up again. And thank you, Mel, for sending that to me. I appreciate that. All right, let's see what else he's saying. Where is he? Oh, here he is.
Simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles.
I'm just curious. I want to know if they're going to ask him. Of course, who knows? The White House could have all friendly news outlets in there and have instructed them not to ask about his health.
If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks.
His eyes look really fucking red as well. His eyes look really bloodshot.
75 are shot with bullets.
They're all puffy and swollen.
So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C.
Fuck off. No, I'm not going to let you tell me a story about D.C. If anybody is keeping an eye on that and they end up seeing that he's questioned about his health, or if there's clips out there, hey, you know what I'll do? Let me see if I can find on... Let me see. I'll just type in Trump here. Maybe there's already something up that I missed in this. Because one would have to assume, with all the speculation going on, that somebody would have questioned him about his health, right? About what's been going on. I'm just going to type in here Trump health and see what pops up. I'm not even sure. Maybe he didn't. Maybe that was some of the first questions that he took. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I wasn't following that. I had a guest on. But here you can see what it looks like you know, you can see what it looks like when he doesn't have the makeup on, and you can actually see the bruising on his hand there, right? So clearly a lot different than what it looks like today, all make-upped up. But I'm looking for, you know, who would have it is probably somebody like a clip. Oh, all right. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. We got clips in the emails. You guys are good. You guys are good at this. All right. Let me bring it back to this. Let me see if I can go find that clip. All right. Yep. So that's where I was going to go. Share this tab instead. I'm just curious the answer, what he gave. All right, let's see. This is a 53-second clip in which it looks like, Ducey, how did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? Trump. Oh, so they're kind of joking around. All right, let's see what they say here.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I
You didn't see that?
You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months.
Well, we're just kind of putting that with, again, the huge fucking black hole that seems to be forming its way on the back of your hand, like you're actually fucking consuming crocodile at this moment in time, and you're turning to fucking stone. Compare that, you know, I mean, add that to the Venus problem. What was it? Venus insufficiency, if I'm remembering correctly, is what they called it. Venus insufficiency. You know, add that on to the way you look, dude. You look fucking atrocious. You look just atrocious. Those eyes are bulging. Every day he looks more and more like fucking Finding Nemo. He looks more and more like the turtle from Finding Nemo. And I'm sorry, I'm not even going to say the name. Not even going to say the name because I feel bad even comparing the two, but he looks just fucking like him. Just like him. All right, let's see if we can go to, is there any more here? Let's see, my apologies. Let's just see if there was any more questions kind of asked by reporters as it pertains to his old health hair. What are you guys watching? This? Okay. Let's see. Aaron, you got anything else for me, buddy? Let me see. I'll time it to Aaron. That's not how you spell it. That is, there it is. Chicago is a hellhole. Sending troops into Chicago. Also did a number of truths, long truths, I think poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. Was this another question about his health here? Let me see.
One of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend.
Now, aren't these truths the one that people were talking about? You can clearly see were not written by Donald Trump. Is that what he's trying to go back and say is evidence to suggest that he was okay? Let's see here. What, like some of the, like this one, for example. As President of the United States, I am pleased to announce that Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York City, is an equally great American patriot who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our country's highest civilian honor. Details as to time and place to follow. Thank you for your attention in this matter. I don't even think he wrote that one. Even though it says thank you for your attention in this matter, I don't even think he wrote that one. Here's another one. What few people understand is that we do very little business with India, but they do a tremendous amount of business with us. In other words, they sell us massive amount of goods, their biggest client, but we sell them very little. Until now, a totally one-sided relationship. It almost sounds like somebody trying to speak. It sounds like Gavin Newsom. Like if Gavin Newsom was like, okay, try to write something like Donald Trump would write it. Let's see here. That one. There was a few more here where people were like, yeah, I don't think that is definitely ain't written by him. Was it this one? It was 2 days ago. Let's see. I think it was one of these. Talking about Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame. Talking about Union Station. Again, seems like old repetitive shit. Only a couple posts out there by him over the weekend. Just watched the show. Yeah, I don't know. So I'd be confused. Let me see if I can. I think Mel just sent another clip over. Let me see. Which one's this? Is this the one I just saw, maybe? This one says, I also don't know. Yeah, that one was that one. All right. Well, we'll keep our eye on that. We'll see if he's further questioned about any health
After I
issues
clean it
that
up,
he
they'll take
may
credit for it. You know what they
be
do.
experiencing. But we have a lot more to get through than just that. I mean, I don't know if you saw this that I was putting on the screen as we were talking to our fabulous guest, Chris, which again, make sure you guys go follow Chris Kluwe on all of his social media platforms. If you're in the 72nd District or in Orange County, anywhere, please look into supporting his efforts to, again, get that assembly seat. It was a pleasure speaking with him, and I hope to speak with him again in the future. Really seems like a really bright guy and somebody that we want on our side. So I appreciate it. But I don't know if you saw this article. This is a Guardian article. Alarm after FBI arrest U.S. Army veteran for conspiracy over protest against ICE. Right? So legal experts say charges against Afghanistan war vet Bajun Mavawalala, excuse me if I mispronounced that one, the second mark an escalation in Trump's administration crackdown on the First Amendment rights. The arrest of U.S. Army veteran who protested against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has raised alarms among legal experts and fellow veterans familiar with his service in Afghanistan. A former Army sergeant who survived a roadside bomb blast on a special operations mission in Afghanistan was charged in July with conspiracy to impede or injure officers after rejoining a demonstration against the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in Spokane, Washington. Legal experts say the case marks an escalation, as we just read. Quote, here's a guy who held top secret clearance and was privy to some of the most sensitive information we have, who served in a combat zone. To see him treated like this really sticks in my craw. The 35-year-old had used his GI Bill to earn a degree in sustainable communities from Sonoma State University, was set to move into a 3,000-square-foot house that day, which he had bought with his girlfriend, nurse, and fellow Afghanistan war vet with the help of a loan backed by the Department of Veteran Affairs. Maval Walla's father, a retired U.S. Army intelligence officer with 3 Bronze Stars. So the wife, the husband, the wife, and his father, all veterans, all fucking served. His father, a retired U.S. intelligence officer with 3 Bronze Stars earned during tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, brought his truck for the occasion. He planned to move his son into a dream home in a bucolic southern section of Spokane that was large enough to accommodate their blended family. His girlfriend, Caitlin Gaston, has 3 and solidify a couple's life together. So, again, not even veterans are safe. Again, if you are showing any, disapproval, if you're showing any resistance, if you're showing any organizational attempts, then you may be next on the list of Donald Trump's administration for people to come after, for people to arrest. And it doesn't matter if you served, it doesn't matter if you have a Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, lost your leg, your arm, or even if you are, wasn't there one just story now? Let's see here. Let's see, norms. Let's see here. Arrested. Was it Kristi Noem? I think they would just kind of, there was a story out of they actually just arrested, let's see if I can find it here. Pretty sure they just arrested a paraplegic man. Let's see. Christina arrested. No, excuse me if I'm getting the facts of this wrong, but I'm trying to look up. I know I saw it this morning. DHS. Excuse me as I just look for this in the background. My apologies. DHS arrest. No links. I think it's, let's see. Oh, here we go. Is this it right here? Is this it right here? Let me see if I can throw this on the stage here. Did you guys see this one? Veteran sues DHS after video shows agents tackling from behind. Nope, that's not the one I wanted to show either. That we did show on the show, though. We did actually show that on the show where he was getting speared from behind. But that's not the one. Just give me another second here to find it, because I'm pretty sure it was either a man with no arms or no legs or both. Let's see here. Influence to detain, interested in the home parking lot. All right, now I'm gonna find it. Pentagon authorizes Trump decision confirmed. Ukraine. Now I'm gonna find it. Massive fireball explodes. Knox neighborhood. No. Oh, come on. Every single time. So does anybody have the story that I'm talking about? I think that's on Jolly Good Ginger's account. Okay, let me see if I can go to that one then. But I'm pretty sure I just saw it here. Whereas Kristi Noem, they were catching backlash because they either just arrested or detained. And again, forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, but I just kind of quickly glanced at it. It was either like a paraplegic or somebody that, again, had no arms and no legs. You know, just, again, showing the treatment or the lack thereof, the care that they have for pretty much anybody that they go after. No, I'm not seeing it here. It was on one of these quick, short stories that are in the news sections here. If I find it, I'll pop it up. I'll pop it up. But there are a few other things, obviously, that I wanted to get to today as well. Not just the fact that DHS and ICE and Homeland Security continue to again violate every single right that they could possibly violate in terms of basically in the helps of furthering Donald Trump's regime and what they're doing. But let me see here, because there was also this that I wanted to take a look at. There was Mamdani was on with Jen and Pumps, the I've Had It lady. So if it's okay, I kind of wanted to take a look at a little bit of this, if you don't mind. Is that something you guys are okay with? I know we like Jen and Pumps. I know we like I've Had It. And I know, I believe that we are, most of us are fans of Zohran Mamdani. So why not combine the two and see if we can get into just a little bit of what they were talking about, a little bit of, the rhetoric and, again, the talking points from Mamdani, and see what he thinks is important and what we should be talking about. Is that okay with you guys? Cool with you guys? And then after that, I have this. Adam Freeland was on with Chris Cuomo, which is something that I'm definitely going to tackle. And again, this is one of these things where I couldn't quite place or date it. So I'm not sure if this was a recent interview or if this is something that happened in the past. But regardless, I think it's something that we need to cover. But let's get into this right here. From Jen and Pumps from the I've Had It podcast, having Zohran Mamdani on. So let's take a look at what they had to say. I am going to speed it up just a touch, and let's see what they had to say. I'm going to get right into it. So how about we go right here? Let's go.
Here with New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. How are you today?
I am doing great. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I mean, it's a big deal to be on America's Top DEI podcast. Yeah.
That's how I know I made it.
This is big league.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens.
It's not the primary win.
That's right.
We're right here.
This is it. This is where it's all happening. Okay, we like to ask all of our guests what they've had it with. So Zohran, what have you had it with?
I have had it with uncles asking me what's next. So everyone will be well acquainted with that moment in your life where you think you've done something, and there will always be an uncle who whispers in your ear, where are you headed to next?
Yeah.
And so we've been doing photos, and there'll be an uncle who whispers, man, are you going to Senate?
I'm just going to skip ahead just a touch.
Mails. That's how, or internet.
Okay.
So
we are in different places.
She's a lot older.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
like Instagram is like a huge. I remember on my cell phone. I remember doing like the
you had no email when you started practicing.
When I started practicing law, there was no email.
This is not only
This is like
America's
pre-Palm Pilot.
Yes, pre-BlackBerry, pre all of it.
Wow.
We had those little things you would get at Best Buy.
See here.
I think then it was Circuit City, where you kept your calendar. Like it was a whole thing. And I remember when I moved out of my house, it was in the attic, and I was like, "It's a dinosaur." Yeah, the only computer game that they had was Solitaire.
Wow,
That's crazy, isn't it?
All right.
And I look so young.
Oh,
yes.
it's not the little Botox and filler. Can't
That's right.
fix.
No injections.
My apologies. I'm still looking for that. I'm still searching for that article in the background because I know I saw it. Man, I'm fucking violent assault on officer who threatened while standing on links from Roside, Heinz criminals. Video of a man filed lawsuit with 15-year-old boy. MS-13 gang. calls out politicians. No, that's my fault. It was about DHS and Kristi Noem receiving backlash on either detaining or arresting somebody with either a disability or that had no legs or something along the lines like that. Again, just showing their heinous disregard for humanity and the fact that they'll just kind of round up anyone. But I saw it. There's a place here where you can click on the bottom line here, and it gives you some of the, just some of the not the breaking news, but the top news stories going around. And I could have sworn I saw it in here, but because that refreshed since the last time I looked at it, it's no longer on what I'm scrolling through. But again, I don't think we need any more confirmation as to the lack of humanity from DHS, ICE, Border Patrol, or anything like that. I think we're very well acquainted with their ruffian tactics and the way that they're trying to intimidate immigrants all over this country. But again, I just wanted to get into a little bit of this with Zohran to see if there was anything we could glean or gain from this. I know this is what's tough when you don't have a ton of time to cover it. It's tough to figure out and pick out the exact parts of this 58-minute interview, in which would be important for me to show you guys, because I don't want to pre-watch this because that kind of takes away from it. Let's see if we can just kind of pick a spot and see if we can get something important. Yeah, check this out.
And I went, "You're the biggest Democrat on the planet." And she's like, "Oh," and she was like, "Isn't he?" And I'm like, "He is not anti-Semitic. He is a candidate for everybody, for workers, for everybody that's been left behind." And you see, like, there's certain triggers that you trigger in people, and it's this fear. What do you have to say to the stereotypes that are built in to maybe what you look like, or maybe the fact that you're Muslim, or maybe the fact that you've really had moral clarity on Israel-Gaza, or the fact that you have real moral clarity about, billionaires paying more in taxes? What do you say to the people that are progressive by nature, but there's something about you that triggers this default setting of fear inside them?
Well, so this is a good question, because she might as well be speaking about Hakeem Jeffries specifically, right? So basically, this is a question for, hey, how do you explain to somebody like Hakeem Jeffries all of the upside to you, all of the benefits, all of the great proposals and populist policies that you want to put in place, and again, the enthusiasm that you have behind you? Can you explain to people like Hakeem Jeffries kind of why they look stupid, again, not getting behind somebody in their own political party with, again, a lot of enthusiasm, with policies that people believe in and back? Can you I think he's kind of, speaking right to him at this point.
First thing is, I don't begrudge them, because if they turn on TV or open up a newspaper, they'll often engage with a caricature of me.
Right.
And if that's all I read about myself, I'd probably have concerns too. And it's an opportunity for me to introduce myself as I actually am, because so often the fear-mongering is so immense. I mean, I had a guy come up to me and say, "I heard you're going to be the first Muslim mayor." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I heard that we might not be able to buy alcohol in New York City." And I was like, "Who?"
So again, I'm sure this is going to turn into a Sharia law argument or a Sharia law debate, another talking point that you love hearing from the right, as well as like, communist, socialist, Marxist, along the lines of that type of bullshit.
Who are you buying alcohol from now? A Muslim guy at your bodega,
Right.
most likely. Yeah, and I think it's like, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So some of it is, it borders on the absurd, but some of it is also that, we see that it's a lot of what our campaign is portrayed as if there is no precedent for it. Think about democratic socialism.
All right. Hold on. So let's cover that. Mel's kind of sending me. I don't know if you guys saw this. I should probably show this as well. And I'm sorry to kind of get off of this, but again, it's tough to cover an hour-long interview and find out the good spots. If we have enough time, I'll see if I can go through that interview and maybe pick out some of the highlights. Where he talks about his policies, where he talks about his campaign, where he talks about how we can combat Republicans. But let me see if I can, because I know this was being talked about, and Trump was just questioned about this. Mel just sent me a clip of this, so let me see. White House Windows. So I don't know if you saw this video, but apparently it was AI. Apparently it was AI. All right, so I'm going to show this real quick. just because I'm not sure who's seen this video. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. But this was video shown of apparently being something thrown out of the White House window. So let me see if I can make this bigger on the screen. Turn it up a little bit. I'm going to start it from the beginning. And keep your eye on the window. Clearly something being dropped out the window, thrown out the window. Look like a fucking Keurig machine, for all I know.
Let's say in that little outhouse on the end. Oh, somebody there, right? Right now, right? Oh, there you go. You got it. You zoomed in.
All right. Now, apparently, Donald Trump was questioned about this in his press conference that he's doing now, or whatever he's fucking announcing right now. So let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. Crap, which one was it now? This one? No, not that one. Is it this one? No, not that one. So it must be the last one. All right. This one. Yeah, here you go. So I'm going to share this instead. This is, again, where he claims the people throwing bags out of the White House window is probably AI generated. So let's see his explanation here for the video that you just saw. Let's take a look at this. Throw this on the screen for you guys. Ready? Boom. Which one is it? This one? No. This one? No. This one? Christ, I keep losing it. Must be this one. View. Here we go. No, not that one.
There is a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated.
Okay, so again, without having any idea, apparently, what Peter Doocy is talking about, without having seen the video himself, Donald Trump, automatically, the first thing that pops into his mind is to say that it's AI generated. And again, I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but again, to not know what it is, to not have seen the video, it's pretty ridiculous to say that it was AI generated.
So
Actually, you can't open the windows. You know why? They're all heavily armored and bulletproof.
that's a fake video.
Well, it's got to be, because I know every window up there. The last place I'd be doing it is that, because there's cameras all over the place, right? Including yours. No, but every window, I've never seen a window.
I was under the impression that the windows didn't open myself, to tell you the truth, right? So if you go back to the video, again, it's getting more difficult, especially without anything really in the video. A lot of times fingers or, signs with like words on them are the dead giveaway as to if it's AI or photoshopped. There's not too much in this that can kind of really give us any indication as to its windows clearly open. So again, if the windows don't open, I think we have our clear answer as to whether or not it's real or fake. But definitely something that I would be curious. What do you guys think in the chat? I always thought it was like, you couldn't open them. You couldn't open the windows anyway. Why would you want windows that open so somebody could possibly get in through the outside? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that why they had to smash the windows in the Capitol? What do you guys think? I'm just kind of waiting to see what you guys think in the chat. No. The window was in the East Room. Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of the White House. I'd have to know. He said he never saw the story. Right. That's the dumb part. He's saying he never saw the story, never saw the video, but he strays out saying that it's AI is kind of dumb. You think it at least. What about if they needed to get the president out? Well, they have ample routes and avenues in the White House if they needed to get the president out. I don't know if any of them require a window. I don't know if they're throwing the president out of a window anytime soon, but they got multiple exits from every single one of those offices, routes to go up, routes to go down, in, out, outside, around, tunnels, his tunnels, your tunnels, our tunnels. So I don't think they're really struggling for exit routes out of the White House if there was an emergency, but I just don't see the I don't know. I don't see like where does somebody get the idea to be like, oh, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to create a fake AI video of an open window at the White House and somebody throwing what looks to be a fucking coffee machine out of the window. I don't know. apparently somebody did, or if that's really an AI video, that's what they did. But I have no idea. But it's funny to hear Donald Trump say that not only did he not see it, but also knows for sure that it's AI. But this is the video that I wanted to talk about with you guys. So let me see if I can bring this up as well, because we showed on the last show Adam Freeland speaking with Richie Torres about his Jewish ancestry, his Jewish heritage, and the plight that he now goes through, the internal fight that he is now undertaking or is happening inside of him, where he has to struggle with not only what his family wants him to say and what they believe, but what he sees to be true with his own eyes and what he sees his own people are perpetrating upon this point. And I do want to apologize if there was any anti-Semitic, rude, harmful, any comment that snuck by as we've been talking about this over the months and years that we've been talking about this. I absolutely apologize. It is not the policy. It is not the rhetoric of this of Blunt Politics or from me to come out with anything anti-Semitic to wrap up the Jewish people in what their government is perpetrating. I try very hard to specify Benjamin Netanyahu, the people in the government and the Israeli government alone, as opposed to the citizenry of Israel. We also obviously call out, the colonial settlers and the people standing in front of the aid trucks. But there's a very important a way in which we need to discuss these topics and situations and make sure that we are not dehumanizing a whole group of people in order to, again, advocate for another group of people, right? So we don't want to put ourselves in the same shoes. So my apologies if anybody was offended or had any comments to sneak by. That is 100% on me, and that is absolutely not the policy of this show, nor what we will be advocating for, nor what we advocate for people to do or say. So this is about human rights, human decency, and it goes against all of that in order to segregate, in order to diminish and isolate an entire group of people because of what their government in the genocidal maniacs that are leading them are perpetrating. As much as we want to see more pushback, that I think is right to call on, but we're not going to stand for any anti-Semitic bullshit. We're not going to stand any Jew bashing or Jew hating or anything like that. If I see it, you're fucking gone. If the mods see it, you're fucking gone. We're not standing for that shit. All right. And I'm not losing people in the chat because they think that, we're just going to sit here and bash on Israel in totality as a country, when we should be absolutely recognizing that it is the policies of the government in charge of Israel as opposed to the people right now. All right. As much argument as can be had for the lack of reaction, the lack of action being taken, all I think, relative and justifiable arguments to be had. But I wanted to make that clear before we dive into this next clip, because I don't want to see any of that fucking bullshit. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have the Republicans be able to use their bullshit, stupid fucking talking points of everything being anti-Semitic in order to quell and silence arguments and people trying to spotlight and highlight what's going on in Gaza right now. Again, perpetrated by the government of Israel, by Benjamin Netanyahu and his fucking genocidal regime. But this is what I wanted to pop on the screen for you guys. Let me just throw this on here. This is, again, comedian Adam Freeland. I raised my right hand last show. I'm not familiar with him. I didn't even know he was a comedian. But he again was kind of pouring out his heart to Richie Torres. And I'm not sure if this is from before that interview or after that interview, but this is from, I believe this is Mike Figueredo, if I'm not mistaken, from the Humanist Report. Yeah, this is the Humanist Report's Mike Figueredo kind of doing his rundown of comedian Adam Freeland responding to Chris Cuomo's disgusting attacks. I haven't seen it, haven't watched any of this, so I don't know if they're attacks or talking about his conversation with Richie Torres, which got and garnered a lot of attention, or if this is before that whole thing. So why don't we get into just a little bit of this, because you know how much I like calling out bullshit from Chris Cuomo. And if he's going to, again, spew bullshit on the Israel-Palestine, genocide that is going on right now, then I am more than willing and more than able to call his ass out. So what do you say we dive into just a little bit of this with the 20 minutes that we have left, and then I'll let you guys continue on with your day and watch all of the fabulous creators that we still have on this platform that are still to come today for you to watch. All right, let's get into it. Oh, hold on. My apologies. There we go. There it is. So in case you just missed it and didn't hear it, he's going to start off. Chris Cuomo is going to start off again by calling Adam Friedland a self-hating Jew. A bad Jew is what he calls him. And that is just a direct quote from Chris Cuomo. That is not me saying it. So here we go.
You are part of the new self-hating Jew. You're a bad self-hating Jew.
What do you mean self-hating Jew? I love that.
You are.
Did you hear him? You're a bad Jew is what he says. And the right wants to come at us and claim that we're anti-Semitic. Check this out. Straight up says you're a bad Jew.
You're
what do you mean
bad
self-hating Jew? What do you mean self-hating Jew?
You're a bad Jew. All right, so where's all the anti-Semitic outrage over what Chris Cuomo just said? Because I'm pretty sure that's anti-Semitic. Is Chris Cuomo Jewish? Because if a non-Jew is going to call a Jew a bad Jew, I'm pretty sure that can be construed or represented justifiably as something that is anti-Semitic.
Jew. I love that.
You are a Jew who is anti-Israel.
That was like before the election for his bro too. So
and again, just to remind everybody, this is the Humanist Report. Mike Figueredo doing a video on it. If you're wondering why the clips are kind of going back and forth, he's trying to again put this story together for you guys for the video. So here we go.
That's driving me nuts right now. Why? Like I was on a show and like Andrew Yang was telling me about what anti-Semitism was. It's just like it's absurd to me.
That's a regular problem. A recurring problem, being Jewish and being told that unless you are supportive of the state of Israel, which is obviously a foreign country, that you are anti-Semitic by people who are not Jewish, or just anyone in New York. Like, is that something that bothers you and that you hear about a lot?
I think that what I will say is like complaining about a college student protesting us giving $25 billion to a war is just like it kind of the term anti-Semitic loses its meaning. It's not good for Jewish people.
You just watched a clip from Mediaite's interview with Adam Friedland, where he responds to Chris Cuomo, who's not Jewish, mind you, say that he is a bad Jew because he opposes Israel, a country that is currently doing a genocide. Now, additionally, Richie Torres, who's also not Jewish, accused Adam Friedland of trying to justify anti-Semitism because Adam dared to try to explain to him how Israel's claim that they represent all Jewish people while it carries out a genocide is fostering anti-Semitism. But I mean, it just goes to show you the lengths that these genocide deniers are willing to go to shut down criticism of Israel. If you're not Jewish, then you're anti-Semitic for opposing Israel's genocide. But if you are Jewish, well, then you're a bad Jew for opposing Israel's genocide. There's no winning. You have to support Israel. Otherwise, they think that you are morally bankrupt, which is ironic. But no matter how hard they try to deflect, it is not going to change the reality that this is indeed a genocide, and more people can see that. And as Omar El-Akkad put it, one day when it's safe, when there's no personal downside to calling a thing what it is, when it's too late to hold anyone accountable, everyone will have always been against this. And he is exactly correct. And the day when this will be universally recognized as a genocide is inching closer than ever, because even the most vociferous genocide apologists are struggling to still make up excuses. Last week, Israel double-tapped a hospital that killed 20 people, 5 of which are journalists, which is why they bombed the hospital in the first place, by the way. And I didn't really see many people on Twitter defend it. Like, I'm not on Twitter as much these days, but even Israel was like, oopsie, they didn't even bother to blame Hamas, because what's the point? Nobody.
And just to back up his point, just to make his point a little stronger here, you got shit like this coming out. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Scholars Association says, right? Resolution backed by 80% of scholars who voted. Israel rejects accusations of genocide in Gaza. Resolution calls for Israel to cease acts deemed genocidal. This is from The Hague, September 1st. The world's biggest academic association of genocide scholars has passed a resolution saying that the legal criteria have been met to establish Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, its president says on Monday. So, remember the debates and the arguments I was having with, I don't know, people like Hal, right? Good friend of the show, people that I have a ton of respect for, but we just kind of don't see eye to eye on, some of the issues, which is totally fine. And we have, well-rounded, educated debates on those subjects, which, typically lead to a handshake and some sort of resolution at the end of it, which I'm very grateful for. But we have had this conversation for a long time where there are still people on our side of the aisle, people that know fucking better, that are still unwilling or unable to call this a genocide for what it is. And again, I'm not singling anybody out. That was just probably the clearest example of what you guys have seen, especially with my talks with Hal. Right? I'm not singling anybody out. There's a multitude of people. But this is, it's the UN Special Rapporteur. There was one that we talked about just a couple days ago where it was the Israeli Human Rights Organization calling what their own country is doing a genocide. Again, the multitude of reports from human rights watch groups and everybody else. Right? This is 86% of those who voted among the 500-member International Association of Genocide Scholars, ladies and gentlemen, people that are fucking much brighter, much smarter, much more knowledgeable than I could even fucking ever hope to be on this region, on this situation, on the impacts, on the fucking relationship between the two. Giving you their representation, giving you their outcome of their investigation that they did with their fucking, knowledge of what a genocide is and what's going on in this situation, right? Israel, what's it say? Scholars backed a resolution declaring Israel's policies and actions in Gaza had met the legal definition set out in Article 2 of the 1948 UN Convention on Genocide. Israel's foreign minister called the statement disgraceful and entirely based on Hamas's campaign of lies. Israel has in the past strongly denied that its actions in Gaza amount to genocide, as they would, and say they are justified as self-defense. It is fighting a case at the International Court of Justice, the ICJ in The Hague, that accuses it of genocide. Israel launched its assault on the Gaza Strip October 2023. Since then, it's killed 63,000 people, which I think is just a joke of a number to even report, because I'd stick my fucking left leg, both arms, and both eyes on it, that it is at least double that number. The 3-page resolution calls on Israel to immediately cease all acts that constitute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity against Palestinians in Gaza, including deliberate attacks against and killing of civilians, including children, starvation, deprivation of humanitarian aid, water, fuel, and other items essential to the survival of the population, sexual and reproductive violence, and forced displacement of the population. It also states that Hamas attacks on Israel, which precipitated the war, constitute international crimes. So this isn't a one-sided argument, right? This isn't saying, hey, the other side's great, it's just you guys that are fucking up. No. This is saying, hey, we're willing to recognize what's happened on fucking both sides. This is a definitive statement from experts in the field of genocide studies that is what is ongoing on the ground in Gaza is genocide. The association's president, Melanie O'Brien, a professor of international law at the University of Western Australia, who specializes in genocide, told Reuters, there's no justification for the commission of war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, not even self-defense, she added. Convention adopted in the wake of the Holocaust. This talks about the 1948 UN Genocide Convention, adopted in the wake of mass murder by Jews. Mass murder of the Jews by Nazi Germany defines genocide as crimes committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group such as, and it goes on to specify. But again, a lot of people don't fucking know that this part exists right here. In whole or in part. That's the big one. That's the big one right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the part that just can't seem to get through their fucking thick skulls, where when they hear the word genocide, they mean that they think that means everybody, right? They think that in order for you to be actively engaged in a genocide, you have to be literally trying to take out every single member of that population, every single member of that ethnic group or nationality, when that is not the truth. All you have to be doing is trying to erase them in whole or in part, or trying to remove them from their homeland forcefully. This isn't difficult shit. This is definitional use of the word with actual examples that can go on to back up and justify the use of the word genocide. Right? So let's see if we can just go back to this for a second. See if there was anything else that we missed. I thought he covered I thought there was more of that interview that he covered in here. So again, if he doesn't speak about it, then we'll see if we can cover something else for the next few minutes. But let me just see if Mike dives back into that interview. Any day now. Here you go.
Lost public support, hence why Netanyahu is currently going on a tour of U.S. conservative podcasts to convince them that Israel is still good, because more and more people, including conservatives, can see that this is indeed a genocide. Individuals like David Pakman, who criticized Rashida Tlaib for blaming Israel for attacking a hospital, have remained silent 35 hospital bombings later, because why even bother correcting the record, even though you demanded the same from a member of Congress?
And again, just to kind of talk about the example that he had just used, using David Pakman, that goes back to that whole chorus argument, right? Of, a lot of the people involved in that are very unwilling or just completely unable to call out what the government of Israel is perpetrating. Unwilling or unable to call out the falsehoods reported about 7 October or the egregious nature of the attacks that we've seen since. Right? So that was another through line that we talked about as it pertains to that whole chorus story. And again, I think you can remove in its entirety the author or what you think about the author of the article, because I have not seen really the contract to be released that stated anything otherwise. Right? There's been some videos put out there, but again, if you don't know where the fucking money's coming from, we got a big problem with that. I got a big problem with that. And that's all that we were saying. And again, there seems to be a certain type of character that they were looking for, and there is a through line or several through lines to the people that they sought after or recruited for this whole campaign.
It was never about the objective truth or accuracy. It was always about downplaying the barbarity of the genocidal Israeli regime. But as time ticks on, the crimes that Israel is committing is piling up, and it is getting harder and harder and harder to run cover for Israel's genocide. And more people are waking up. On August 31st, another 63 Palestinians were murdered by the IDF, including 32 aid seekers. What's the excuse this time? Hamas? Didn't actually happen? You don't see a lot of excuses because...
hold on. I guess there are pictures from today of Trump's hand. Let me see. Sorry to kind of switch it up. Let me see if I can kind of put this on the screen for you guys. Was this today? This is Donald Trump's hand today? Let me see. It's probably a little bigger that way for you guys. All right. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Definitely all caked up with makeup. Looking a little rosacea red on this area too, over here. Looking a little dry-skinned rosacea red. But definitely look at the fucking thickness of the makeup too. Jesus Christ. It's like the shit that fucking dries on like rubber afterwards. Right? But definitely trying to hide that bruise. Here's kind of from a further away shot. You can definitely tell the discoloration, the difference in coloration in the hands there. So definitely the bruising has not subsided on Donald Trump's hand. Clearly, once again, them trying to take precautions or steps to cover that up as to dodge questions about it. But again, I just think the makeup makes it even more obvious and even more like you're going to get a question about that, right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what else comes from it. We'll see what else happens. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this fight is not over. If Donald Trump were to take his last breath on the planet today from fucking natural causes, we would not wake up tomorrow a changed or a fixed society. We would definitely be better off than we were just 24 hours prior. We would definitely be in a better position to make ourselves better, but we still are going to have to fight the J.D. Vances. We are still going to have to fight the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Lauren Boeberts and the fucking Tulsi Gabbards and the Lindsey Grahams and the rest of these fucking degenerate monkeys, right? We're still going to have to battle these people because, again, MAGA has been so entrenched in propaganda and lies for so long that it is going to take a lot more than the cult leader, than chopping off the head of the snake. That body is still going to be twitching and wriggling for a long time. And we better be ready for this fight to continue even above and beyond when Donald Trump is no longer in United States politics or in the United States at all, for that matter. And we'd be very, very, very prudent of ourselves to get ready for that fight and to not be blindsided by the fact that, you know, these MAGA freaks did not just pop right back into line after their cult leader, after their Fuhrer, after their fucking authoritarian dictator bit the dust because he had one too many fucking double cheeseburgers and Diet Cokes, right? All right, let's see here. I'm going to see if I can get you guys out of here. I know we got a couple minutes, but, you know, what's the matter with getting you guys out of here on time? Right? What's wrong with getting you guys out of here on time? Let me do one more check. I'm going to do one more check to make sure I didn't miss anything, you know, breaking news or anything big before I get you guys out of here. I would like to report that Donald Trump's 50-day deadline on Russia is over. And again, I haven't heard anything on what severe consequences Russia is now going to face. I did report that Trump ruled that Trump's usage of the National Guard in LA was illegal. Let's see. Pentagon authorizes up to 600 military lawyers to serve as temporary immigration judges. Israel took out the, let's see here. Let me just see if I can. It was this story just before I get you guys out of here. Israel killing of Yemeni's Houthi prime minister may expand regional war, Democracy Now! Says. Let's see here. We'll do this one just real quick, just to show you the ongoing I don't give a fuck nature of what Israel, the government of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu continue to perpetrate. You know, they're just going around killing prime ministers, going around, you know, getting Donald Trump to strike nuclear sites in Iran. They just don't give a fuck. They're starving people right in front of the faces of the international community. They are calling up more reservists for their takeover of Gaza City. They just don't give a fuck. This was Israel killed the prime minister of Yemen's Houthi rebels, Ahmed al-Rahawi, in a strike earlier this week. Iran backed Houthi rebels stormed the offices of two United Nations after agencies in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a on Sunday, a day after Israel said it killed prime minister of the rebel-controlled government. Again, we're not trying to defend or, you know, say we're friends with, but again, these are just some agreed. Oh, was I not putting that on? Sorry, my apologies. I was showing this. Was I not showing you guys? Yep. And then there was that we talked about, Paul. Absolutely. The photos of, hey, let me see if I can just take a look at these photos of the videos, right? Just take a look at these photos and videos and tell me if you think that these are people that are worried about what the West thinks, if they're worried about or committed to peace and working with the West. Is this what you think they look like here? You know, you got Modi, you got Xi, you got Putin. Is this what they look like? Let's see if they show any footage of this. There you go. Smiles all around. Again, this guy right here, Vladimir Putin, the man that just waltzed his way onto U.S. territory, waltzed his way through cemeteries, met with fucking archbishops and fucking received gifts, wasn't forced to answer a single question, shook hands with the president, got a photo op with the president. Does this seem like the man that is now like being scared into fucking engaging in negotiations or peace talks while he's meeting with other dictators while he's laughing it up with these people. We'll see how long this goes on. Here, I'll continue this video. Yeah, check it out. Chuckling it up, laughing it up. Fucking sick. And there you go. There's the, remember the lions, ladies and gentlemen. These are the lions. Hold on 1 second. What is this actually? Let's see what this is.
As Israeli attacks intensify, fear is coursing through the streets of Gaza City, driving some families to flee. But this hail of bullets is a reminder that even running away carries immense risk and no guarantee of reaching safety.
Lions, ladies and gentlemen. Remember Netanyahu on his fucking softball interview with pretty big douchebag PBD there? Talking about how he's fighting the lions and the tigers and he's the badger, right? Fighting the pack of hyenas or the pack of this and that. Look at, does this look like lions to you, ladies and gentlemen? Are these the lions?
Fear etched across Saeed and Mariam's faces. They listen in.
Look at the lion there. Look at the lion, huh? Look at that militant combatant that needs to be starved and fucking displaced and removed from this earth at all costs. Look at the lions, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, fucking such a strong and proud badger, I'm sure you are.
As their mother tells them to stay close to the buildings. As they set off once more. They are among thousands of
more
Palestinians
lions. Just more lions, ladies and gentlemen. Look at them all. Look at them all. These are the people they say need eradicating. These are the threat. This is the dangerous threat posed by these people. You know, this is what you're looking at now. These fucking these lions that Netanyahu calls such fucking.
Israel is halting humanitarian airdrops
monsters.
and ending daily
and inhumane fucking subjects that need to be subjugated and removed at all costs.
Tactical pauses.
Look at this fucking place, will you please? Look at this fucking place. And thank you, JD. Thank you, JD. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate you, man. And thank you to everybody that gifted via, I know I didn't do any self-promotion today, via Venmo, which is up in the corner. There is a way we can become a channel member on YouTube for $2.99 just underneath me. You can do patreon.com for as little as $5 a month. That gets you into our monthly Zoom meetings. We just kind of shoot the shit face-to-face for an hour or so, a couple times a month, and just, you know, a way we can get more, not intimate, but more closely, I don't know, closely aligned, fucking more, I don't know what you want to call it. Just a good way to meet face to face and know the people that are watching the show. And I appreciate everybody who's contributed. Thank you so much. We continue to advocate for, you know, human rights. We continue to advocate for, you know, better work environment, better work conditions, better pay, fucking better health care, you know, politicians that are willing to step up and fight, politicians that are willing to make the drastic changes instead of this incremental bullshit that just leads us back to the same place. Right? But I know I'm a little bit over. Let me make sure that I get into thanking everybody. Let me see if anybody reached out via Venmo today. Thank you. Even if you did not, I really appreciate all your kind contributions. You have been amazing and so helpful in stepping up and helping this show. Let's just see here. So JD, thank you so much, brother. Not only on YouTube, but also on the Venmos. I appreciate that. Tom, our buddy here, unfortunate altar boy, is unfortunately back in the hospital again. So we're all wishing Tom well. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi is a little spotty, he said, in the hospital, so he didn't know if he could make it today. But I just wanted to make sure that we give him a nice shout out and say that we're wishing him some well wishes and good vibes and positive thoughts, positive energy. So Tom, wishing you well, buddy. That goes for Bicycle Mike as well. I hope you're recovering well in your house with care, you know, people that care about you surrounding you. So thank you to you guys. Also, happy birthday again to Dame Dog. Thank you so much, Dame, for your continued and passionate support of not only this channel, but, you know, channels all throughout this space. I really do appreciate it. So thank you guys at the Soul Craft again, from the bottom of my heart. My apologies and sincerest condolences for what you're going through as well. Don't think that I forgot about that. So yeah, all of you guys are very important to me, and are definitely something that I carry around in my heart and in my thoughts, even when I'm not on. So thank you so much. Let me get through thanking you guys. I know Patrick kicked it off early with 5 gifted memberships, as he is so famous for doing. And I appreciate you, Patrick. Thank you so much for continuously helping the show, whether it be through gifted memberships or, financial contributions, whatever it is. I appreciate it. That goes so much for Nordez as well. Thank you very much, Nordez, for all your kind contributions every single show, whether it be 1, 2, 5, 20, 100, a billion gifted. I think you're up to about 12 billion gifted memberships at this point. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Zobeth, thank you so much. Chris is the real deal. In the early 2000s, I served on a charity board with NFL kicker Darren Bennett, and Chris donated merch for your silent auction. Oh, I mean, like I said, he hasn't been afraid of speaking his mind, regardless of the backlash and the repercussions that he knew it was going to get him. So, people that are strong and passionate and don't fear, again, the pushback, are people that I am definitely willing to throw my hat behind. So again, appreciate Chris for taking the time out to speak to Blunt Politics, to come join us. It was a great conversation, and if you missed it, I hope you rewind and catch back up on that conversation afterwards. Sheldon, again, thank you so much. Slacks, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. Love right back to you from everybody here. Love to all the fellow Bryantologists. I will pass that along, and thank you so much for your kind contributions and your continued loyalty and friendship of the show. So thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate it. That goes for Linda Lou as well with your 5 gifted memberships, and also JD for the $10 profanity bonus. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It takes an entire village to make this run. Not only, Mel and myself trying to produce it behind the scenes, but the mods making sure the chat stays a safe place, and you guys in the chat not only contributing, but making sure that this channel stays on the minds of others that may not have seen it. So make sure you're continuing to like, share, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, I would very much advise you to head to patreon.com and sign up for patreon.com/Boston Brian for as little as $5 a month, or again, a YouTube membership for as little as $2.99, or just, send a buck or two to Venmo. It goes a long way in helping, and I really do appreciate it, because if we don't continuously have you guys contributing and helping the show out, then this show does not exist, and I find myself back fixing toilets real fast. So thank you guys. Please make sure that even after the video is posted, there's still ways to contribute. There's the super thanks. I know you guys do a lot and go a long way, but please make sure you're sharing the show out. Let's try to grow this community. Let's try to grow this audience. I really think we're hitting the right buttons, and we're on the right track. So thank you very much, guys. Find your nearest protest, find your nearest rally. Stay out there, stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, continue to kick ass, but keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be speaking at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, to January 6th Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone. It's going to be a great conversation. That's also going to be broadcast simultaneously to this space. Shout out to the Letter Hack. Appreciate you guys. So make sure you're hitting that alert bell. You don't want to miss our conversation with Michael Fanone. It's going to be a good one. Thank you for your support. And I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and how much it's necessary, and how much it's needed, because, again, we hide nothing behind a paywall here. I have absolutely no control over what ads YouTube shows you. Again, I've made a total of 37.5 cents off of whatever YouTube ads that they throw on here. So again, nobody's getting rich at this point, and it's without the help of you guys, we cannot continue to grow. So thank you so much. I will see you guys tomorrow for our early show. Again, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and then we're going to also have our Wednesday night show tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. So make sure you get the alert bells on. That way you don't have to remember all the time changes and stuff. Please, I appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, thank you. I'm Boston Brian once again. Keep kicking ass. We will win this fight. Fuck ICE. Fuck Donald Trump. Free Palestine. Slava Ukraina. Heroyam Slava. Let's fucking go. Once again, big thanks to Chris Kluwe, who is running for the Assembly seat in California 72nd. Make sure you're checking out Chris on all of his social media platforms. Support his campaign, support his policies. We're very much appreciated. And thank you, Chris, for taking the time out. Thank you, Mud. Thank you, chat. Let's fucking go. Make sure you guys are supporting all of the independent creators that you find, help your day, give you entertainment, give you some support for education. Make sure you follow them. None of them are there, even if they love me. Thank you, guys.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Obama.
Get off my plane.
I am the chosen one.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel, and he's doing great.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Oh, thank you, Yakov, for the Venmo, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Yakov.
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Fuck it, I'll come back and show it. There was one more clip. I think JB Pritzker had a clip going around. Fuck it. Might as well, right? Might as well. Let's see here if I can find it. Let's see here. It starts with when did we become? All right, so it's this one right here. Just want to play this clip for you guys. Throw this up on the old board. Just a quick clip. Mel just sent this to me. I didn't want to miss it. And we're just gonna toss it on here. And share this tab instead, and away we go.
And it's one the press should be asking. I'd like to ask a question of my own. And it's one the press should be asking as well. When did we become a country where it's okay for the U.S. president to insist on national television that a state should call him to beg for anything, especially something we don't want? Have we truly lost all sense of sanity in this nation that we treat this as normal?
again, just an example of JB doing a great job rhetorically, at least to let everybody know just the insanity of what we're going through. And thank you, Mel, for sending me that. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that on the way out the door to make sure that you guys know there are people still willing to stand up and fight this bullshit. And one of them's right here. One of them's right there above me here. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Peace.
The name movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops. You see, revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
Later, Soulcraft. Have a good day. Later, Tanya. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, all you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Rocks. Let's fucking go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yep, 1 p.m. Eastern time. 1 p.m. Eastern. 10 a.m. Pacific. And then we got our later show tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell, all right? See you guys.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.